my internal world has shifted so much. And, I've been creating so much change, so many shifts. And now I finally feel like my external world is really matching where I'm at. And it's just so beautiful to see when those things do come into alignment.
Hello and welcome back to the Finding You podcast. Today I'm here with Grayson. Hello, Grayson.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. Yes, thank you.
Now I'm going to let you just introduce yourself, jump on in.
Okay, so my name is Grayson and I originally am from the US, but just this year I moved to Bali and created my life coaching program, launched a podcast, and next year hoping to do retreats as well in Bali. But I met Franeiss in our life coaching program and we got into a breakout room together and she was coaching me, and I was so connected to her from just the moment that we first spoke. It was incredible. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Yeah, I just moved to Bali, starting my whole life, it feels like, with this coaching program, this podcast, and now retreats. So I'm all about finding a deeper relationship to ourselves and just life purpose, just like Franeiss.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely on the same page there. Do you want to dig into a little bit like how you came to Bali? Because now you're living there permanently, I'm assuming?
Yes, I just last week got my visa that allows me to stay here for the next 2 years. So, we'll take it year by year and we'll see. But for now, this is home and I'm very happy here. How I got here the first time, so I was actually really burnt out in my job in New York City. I was actually living in New York up until the pandemic and decided 2020 was the year I was going to get my yoga teacher training certificate. And I was researching programs and decided I could just do it in Bali. And I was like, wow, there's no competition there. It's like the winter in New York and a tropical paradise just seemed incredible. So that's the first time I came to Bali and was there for 3 weeks. Ended up falling in love with a boy in my program. And he became my boyfriend. And we were both from the States. So after the program was over, we both came back to the States. That was when the pandemic just started. So we were like quarantining on the East and West Coast, and he actually had a converted camper van already there, like in California. And neither one of us had jobs. We were unemployed because of the pandemic. We were both living at home with our parents. And I was like, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to fly to LA and see you again. And we're going to live out of this van and travel the country because there was nothing else to do. So that's exactly what we did and just deepened our relationship, really got to know each other within, living in a van. You can I think we counted, it was like, I want to say like 50 square foot space of like just meeting somebody and just living in 50 square feet with them. But yeah, our intention was to come back to Bali because, we had such a perfect break in our lives. We had no job and we had nothing holding us back. And so we were like, let's just move to Bali. And so it took a few months of getting visas and getting things worked out, but that's what happened. And then in May of 2021, we made the big long move. It took like 24 hours of flying. And and then unfortunately, at the end of June, he broke up with me. So that's where Franeiss,
So the plot twist.
I know. So we only got to live out our Bali dream together for about 2 months. But this is where me and Franeiss met. She literally picked up the pieces with me and she was coaching me through the really like raw part of the breakup. Like Franeiss was incredible. Like it was a few months ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. Like she was coaching me through embodiment practices and getting me to like shake out the the grief, shake out the anger. I was just on my balcony during the call with her, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, Franeiss, you're an amazing coach. I was like, we have to connect. But that's how I'm here now. I mean, it feels very divine. Like, now that I have some clarity, it's been a few months. It's like, wow, it makes so much sense. Like, we were supposed to get each other back to Bali, but that was pretty much where the soul contract ends. It's like, now I'm here alone. I'm independent, and I'm able to create the life that I'm meant to live here without him. So that's a little bit about how I got to Bali, but yeah, it's a kind of a cool story.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing that you managed to stand on your own 2 feet now. You're standing strong. You're like in a place that, you know, you've now accepted that soul contracts have ended there. And now it's time for you to just blossom. And you have blossomed so much. You're doing so amazing, especially with your podcast and now your coaching as well. So cool. And so shamelessly plug your podcast.
Yes, sure. So I just launched my podcast last week. It's called Sweet Clarity. And it's all about just, you know, everything that I'm already talking about with coaching, you know, diving deeper into like our personal relationships with who we are and just, you know, getting clarity on our life purpose. And I just think there's so many layers that you can keep peeling back and just going deeper and deeper into discovering who we are. And I just absolutely love that. It lights me up so much. So yeah, I've got a few episodes out now, and you will definitely be seeing Franeiss on my podcast very soon. So check it out for her episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to clarity, what kind of space are you in at the moment? What are you seeing next for yourself?
That's a great question. Yeah, clarity is, if I were to define 2021 with just one word, it would be clarity. I really took this year to just get rid of everything that wasn't serving me, just remove all of the noise, all of the distraction. And the 2 really big projects that I actually created this year was a retreat company and my podcast. And they are such a part of me. And with these creations of these businesses, the word clarity came through for both times. So my retreat business is called Clarafino, which I just made up. It doesn't mean, it's not like a different language or anything, but Clarafino to me, it stems from the word clarity, and my podcast, Sweet Clarity, it's just everything always comes back to that word for me. So in terms of my life right now, I feel so clear on just where my life is heading. I have the foundations built, you know, to step into this new chapter. I just feel like a total rebirth has happened just in the past month of just really shedding these layers and letting go of what wasn't serving me. And something very recently, just in the past weekend, what I've noticed, it's with this breakup in regards to this heartbreak, you know, it's been 5 months. It's been a roller coaster. You know, we all say healing is not linear, and especially breakups are not linear. And, you know, I've been doing so well for so long. It's like, you know, progressively been getting stronger all of the time. But just in this past, you know, weekend and just 2 weeks, the grief has started to come out again, and it kind of has thrown me for a loop. It's been a little bit confusing, and just within that, I've really seen that the self-compassion needs to be there, to really hold space for my emotions and to not judge them. So I've been finding a lot of clarity from just holding space for myself and to not judge or be critical on the emotions that are coming up, because they're there for a reason. And I realized I was suppressing them, and I just need to let them out. So that's not the number one thing right now that I've been getting clear on.
That's beautiful. Just like letting it all out. And I think that's the really hard thing about breakups, and especially with someone that you become so like connected to and you experience such a deep level of understanding with. It's that even after being broken up with them for so long, you've got this grief that still comes up, and the what ifs, and but did we make a mistake, and all these questions that come up. And it's like you have to be really understanding and accepting of yourself and loving that it is what it is. I know people hate when others say that, but It truly is what it is. And this is now your time to shine and just blossom into the incredible human you are right now. This is honestly so amazing. So amazing.
Yeah. Something that my friend told me recently was, my internal world has shifted so much. And, I've been creating so much change, so many shifts. And now I finally feel like my external world is really matching where I'm at. And it's just so beautiful to see when those things do come into alignment and you do start to make changes. And, I was living just last week in a different house in Bali. And in the matter of 24 hours, I upgraded my external reality and I moved in with my friend. And it's just incredible to see how that happens, because when our internal world goes through these periods of growth and these seasons and cycles change, just naturally, you're elevating your external world to reflect that. And it's just so empowering to just finally be living in a place where I feel so at home and so expansive, because I know now that now that I'm there, I can create even better things, even more magic. So it's so exciting. I'm in such a good place right now.
I definitely think that's one of the things that people don't talk about enough, is that everyone's like, I need this goal, I need that, I need that. And the external is not happening for them and they're getting frustrated. But how can you expect the external to manifest if your internal is still holding all the emotional baggage? And it's just incredible work to do. And this is why I've created this podcast. It's all about this internal work so that we can manifest quicker. And even if you're not into manifestation or believing in manifestation, it changes the external when your internal shifts, because you have that gratitude, that love, that compassion, and your vibrational frequency just elevates and goes through the roof.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this whole manifestation thing, it is new to me, but ever since I started really getting serious about it, I see how much power I actually do hold and how true it is. And just what you were saying, it's when you start to really focus on yourself and you start to really dig deep within, you have to seriously nourish yourself first if you want to see changes in your world. It's do you have a morning practice? When in the day are you actually caring for yourself, and how long? I believe everybody at least needs to have 1 hour undivided attention just on themselves. And once you start to make these small little habit changes and start waking up earlier and start nourishing yourself and filling your own cup first, immediately you will see changes in your external world and your life, and the things will just manifest and you're going to raise your vibration and things just come to you naturally and so quickly as well. So yeah, I totally wanted to reflect that back to you.
Yeah. And so for your 1 hour of practice a day, what are your top 3 things that you generally do to really care for yourself and love yourself?
I love this. Mornings are my favorite time of day. It's such a sacred time of just, solitude and just being with myself and setting my day up for success. My top 3 things, definitely, I feel like there are some pillars to a morning practice. You've got meditation, you've got movement, and then you've got what I like to call message, which could be journaling in any kind of capacity. But I make sure I get those 3 things in before I do anything else. So, and they can be different every day. It just depends on what I see fit for myself. But yeah, the very first thing I ever do in the morning is I wake up and I go sit down at my desk, I open my journal, light a candle and play some jazz music. And then I just write, whatever comes out, usually ends up coming into a gratitude practice. I write down what I'm grateful for. If it's the beginning of a new week, I'll write down my desires for the week, just things I'm calling in. And then I get into a movement practice, really just rolling around my head, rolling around my hips, just the bigger joints to just loosen them up. When we come out of sleep, we actually need to release that stagnant energy. And just from doing circles and just some swinging of the arms, it really releases that pent up energy. and then followed that a little yoga flow, and then just come and sit in meditation for anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes. And then I really feel like I'm on top of the world and I can conquer anything. So those 3 pillars for sure is definitely what I get in each and every morning.
As a person, that was definitely, hated the mornings. I couldn't deal with the mornings, especially when I was unawakened or untapped in. I would just do it at night. I think that's a beautiful time as well. If you don't want to get up in the morning extra early before you have to go to work or whatever, just jump in and write it out. Like, I think that's fantastic. Even doing like a nighttime yoga flow, so beautiful. And I know there's other people that are like, oh, yoga, so lame, I hate it, because I was that person. I couldn't connect in as to why yoga was so good. It was hard. I had to stay in one position for a while. Like, the strength wasn't there. I had to move and then focus on my breathing as well, and then be okay with what I was doing. And looking back, it now reflects how impatient I was as a person and ready to like jump ahead, but not actually do the work. So it's super interesting.
Yeah. And it just reminds me of the quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like you said, of noticing in yourself, it's like yoga's not coming to you because maybe you feel impatient, and it's shining a light on those little shadows that you have within yourself of the things that you need to work on. And that's exactly what it is. It's how you're coming to your yoga practices, or how you're showing up on your mat is how other things are manifesting or showing themselves in your life. So I just wanted to, bring that out there.
Yeah. And so are you teaching yoga at the moment, or are you just using it for yourself?
Just at the moment, I just have a self-practice and I just take classes here in Bali. But eventually, I think I will teach yoga, but just at the moment, it's just for me.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. And can you speak on these retreats? Because I'm very curious about what's coming with this retreat that you're bringing together and creating.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I created Clarafino in the beginning of 2021, thinking that our first retreat was actually going to be held in November of 2021. But the pandemic lasted a bit longer than we all expected, and so Bali still actually is not open completely for tourism yet. It's been shut this entire time. So I have now postponed the retreat until May of 2022, but it's an amazing retreat. It's a week long, and it's all centered around finding your life purpose. So we have yoga and meditation in the morning, all levels are welcome. And I'm just going to have like all of my tribe here in Bali along here helping me. I'm really close friends with a lot of amazing soul readers and healers. And I'm sure that my friend Zoe will be a part of it as well. But yeah, it's just going to be beautiful when we have this group together with the same intention of just discovering deeper parts within themselves and life purpose work, just kind of expanding upon my coaching practice and just bringing my clients here in Bali for like a in-person beautiful, abundant week. And there's going to be like sound healing, and like we're going to go to a water temple as well for an excursion. And all of the food is like local, organic, like it's beautiful. So I'm so excited about it. As of now, it's going to be held in May, and we'll see it when the borders do open in Bali. But that's my plan as of now.
Oh, that's so exciting. And do you have spaces still?
Yeah, booking and registration's all open. So if you feel called to come to Bali, let me know. You can either shoot me a message or just visit Clarafino's website for all of the details.
And so did Clarafino come before or after the coaching?
It's actually funny. It happened before. So when I was, sitting in my room unemployed thinking what my next steps were going to be, I got an insane intuitive download that was saying I needed to create just like a safe space for people in their 20s to discover, who they are. And I knew it was going to be in Bali, and I knew it was going to be a retreat because back in New York, I worked in the wedding industry and I love to host events. And I was like really in tune with those fine details and just what it takes to run an event, So I got all of that download, and I was like, okay, wow, I'm going to do this. And so I started planning the program, I started planning everything, and then literally I found DCI the day I left for Bali. And it answered every single question. It was like discovering your dharma, your soul's purpose, finding out who you are, human design, astrology, it's everything. And so it was a no-brainer. I immediately signed up for DCI and then began in May, right when I got to Bali. So it just happened at the same time, kind of, it was like one after the other, but it was kind of funny that the retreat came first and then the coaching. And so it's just been flowing so effortlessly, and I'm so grateful.
That is so synchronistic. I love that so much. And the fact that you got the download and you were like, yeah, I have to do this. Like, I've got it all down. It's going to be creative. That's so fantastic. And so are you planning to add any other tools to your belt, or are you really just enjoying and really immersed in the work of supporting people in finding their purpose?
Right now, I think I'm good for now. The things that I will add on are probably going to be yoga and possibly some meditation or breath work. But as of now, I think the coaching, the podcast, and the retreats are my trifecta. And so I'm getting those foundations down. And then possibly next year, I'll expand into, teaching more mindfulness practices and actually doing some of more facilitating with breath work and meditation. But yeah, that's where I see myself. That's like my 1 year and 3 year vision right now.
Well, yeah, that's super exciting. And so what's like the number one thing that tends to come up with people that are struggling, that you've noticed that are struggling to find their purpose?
Honestly, I think a lot of people right now are in a transition phase, and they're a little bit scared of the unknown, and they're a little bit afraid to take that leap, because so much of finding purpose is about investing in yourself and really getting to know yourself in order to know what that next step is. Because, and Franeiss, this too, with what we've learned with Sahara Rose and DCI, it's like we have all of the answers, like our life purpose, our dharma, it's inside of us. It's just a process of remembering. So I think a lot of people are just a little afraid, because it is a little bit daunting, because, it's the rest of our lives. But what I like to tell my clients is you can't make a wrong choice. You can't make a wrong turn. Every road leads you to your dharma. Every road leads you to your purpose. So it's just being open to receiving, it's just getting feedback. Everything in life is feedback. So if you do one thing and you don't like it, okay, great. Note that and let's do another thing. But yeah, I always tell my clients you can't make a wrong decision. But I think the number one thing is that fear, because there's so much unknown out there, and sometimes people can really come to that fear and make it a block for them instead of making it empowering and being excited about the unknown and being excited about the future.
It's definitely that thing of, am I nervous or excited? Because they actually show up as the exact same thing in our bodies. So awesome that you can provide people with that knowledge and wisdom that, there is no wrong turn. They're all perfect, imperfectly perfect,
Yeah, I mean, we're all exactly where we need to be. Like, all of the relationships we have currently in our life are there divinely for a reason. Like, everything, all of our experiences we have now, it's all for a purpose. And we're all here with our, building that soul curriculum in order to get us to the next step. So yeah, definitely no stress. We're exactly where we need to be. In fact, just drop into the present moment even more. Like, that is just such a practice in and of itself, is just be grounded, be present, be in the moment, and let everything else go, because we're all exactly where we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with your ventures in Bali, are you going to stay where you are at the moment, or are you going to keep traveling around?
As of now, I feel really grounded where I am. I think so when I first came to Bali, I came to a place called Ubud, which is a bit in the central island. It's like very spiritual, very yoga. And that's where my whole relationship happened. That was where the yoga teacher training was. And that's where the breakup happened. So I needed to get out of there. So I moved to Canggu, which is near the coast. It's a beach town, and I picked up surfing. So this is like a new hobby of mine. But I really see for now Canggu as being my home base and just going on little adventures and traveling here, there, and everywhere. But for right now, I'm going to stay in Indonesia and really just spread my roots and grow here.
That's so cool that you've picked up surfing. Like, I think that's one of the hard things that when we become like adults, so many of us don't try new things because we're like, oh, I'm an adult now. It's like too scary to try things. Like people will, think I'm silly for trying something new. And so that's so cool that you're doing that.
Yeah, it's been such a beautiful experience because I've seen so many life lessons come out of surfing. But the thing that really drew me to it first was just knowing like I was going to be bad at it in the beginning. It's like, which as a perfectionist, that was really exciting for me because I was like, wow, I get to do this thing that's really difficult. It's something I've never done before. And going back every single time into the water and getting a little bit better each and every time was so satisfying to me. And now just this past week, I went out for the first time with no instructor. I caught my own waves. It was so liberating. And I just feel so proud of myself, and just the ocean is such a beautiful teacher. And it reflects so much of what we have going on in our minds, going on in the world. And it's taught me, patience. It's taught me how to be in the present moment. But the thing that I love most about surfing is that you can't think about anything else when you're out there. So this is like, my breakup hobby, like I needed to get out of my head. And so there's nothing else you can think about when you're just, really focused and trying to catch these waves, and then you catch the wave and then you're so present. And so I would just absolutely fell in love from the moment I caught my first wave because I was so present, out of my head. I wasn't thinking about anything else. But yeah, it's been such a beautiful journey. And I'm so in love with surfing, and I totally understand why people get that surfing bug and that's all they do. That's all they talk about. Like, it makes total sense now.
Yeah, that's so fantastic that you were like, I'm going to be bad at it. It is what it is. Let me do it anyway. And oh, that's so cool. And the fact that that's just like a meditation or a ritual of self-care within and of itself. Wow. I love that. And that's what I mean. Like, so many people don't realize that it doesn't need to be just sitting there meditating really quietly or doing anything too specific. It's just something that you enjoy and that you love and that makes you feel really centered and just quiets the mind. Like even cooking, like sometimes I'll just need to cook, and that's my way of like providing nourishment for myself and everyone around me, and just mindfully doing so without like thinking too hard.
Yeah, that's always a suggestion that I give to my clients as well. If meditation doesn't sit right for them, that's fine. Cooking is definitely an example that I often give, as well as just going on a walk. Meditation, it doesn't have to be stagnant. You don't have to be still physically, but your mind can be still doing other things. So yeah, going for a walk, cooking, anything like that feels really safe and is calling you in a mindful way. It's totally a form of meditation. Yeah, you're so right.
That was so beautifully put. Like, your body doesn't need to be stagnant, but your mind needs to be still. So that's really well spoken. And so how are you feeling? Because I know coming up to the new year, everyone starts to get a bit like, oh my God, I have so much to do. I haven't hit these goals. So how are you feeling coming into 2022?
Oh, I feel so good. Every month just seems like it grows and builds upon the last. And I've just been so focused and intentional lately. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's to come in 2022 because I just feel like my year 2021 was just such in that pitta phase, referring to the doshas and Ayurveda, that it's that execution phase and just doing the work, getting it done. And I just feel so ready to just see the fruits of my labor. I finally have everything planted. I've watered my seeds, and I feel so excited to see it blossom and to see it grow. So yeah, 2022, I feel it's going to be a big year for a lot of people.
And any potential men's you're interested in coming on the scene in the next year, or just happy to blossom and stay by yourself?
Honestly, I am so happy being single in this moment. I'm not looking, I'm not searching. I'm fully dating myself, as cliche as that sounds. But yeah, I really have been focusing on sisterhood and community here in Bali. And so I've got an amazing group of girls that I just absolutely adore. And I'm really focused on building those connections and seeing where those take me in terms of creating a women's circle here in Bali, creating different things here. My housemate and I, we're going to be creating a course very soon online. So just like fully being in that divine feminine flow and just like not looking and not caring about boys is so freeing. And so I'm very happy where I am now. No boys welcome.
Oh my God, I love it so much. Yes, I'm all for like power to you girls. Like that sounds so much fun. And the fact that you've made so many friends over in Bali, wow, that's incredible. Like such a hard thing to do as an adult these days, especially when you get in your own head about, oh, am I going to be rejected? Oh my God, scared, fear, and all that sort of stuff that comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. It did take me some time. There was definitely a period of time where I was very much alone and very much seeking friendship. And what I realized was I was over-identifying with being lonely. And I was just kept repeating to myself, like, I'm alone, I'm single, I have no friends. It would just be this replaying in my mind. And I was just affirming it with my words. And I just realized, okay, you know what? If I want this to change, if I want to make friends, I need to let that story go and create a new story. And so I opened myself up to receiving these connections, and I put myself out there. And, I went out and I just was myself. I reached out to other girls that I was seeing on social media, and that's exactly how I am where I am now, where I have this new best friend, and we're just so connected, like totally connected in past lives too. Like the level of connection we have is crazy. So yeah, that was the biggest takeaway for me, was just I was identifying with being alone and just replaying that and affirming it. And so I just let it go and opened up to receive friends.
Wow, that's so cool and so powerful. I got like truth shivers. I love that you just jumped in both feet and were like, you know what, let's just like release the stories that I've been telling myself and now try and connect with people that are in my space or around the area that I'm living in. Oh, honestly, congratulations. You have done so much in the past 2 years.
Thank you.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, and there's no shame in making friends that way. I think we're all wanting connection, we're all wanting community, and we're all wanting really deep, meaningful friendships. And if you have to send someone a DM and meet up for a walk on the beach or meet up for a coffee, like there's no shame in that. Like if you really feel connected nowadays on social media to somebody that lives in your area, chances are they're also looking for a deep connection and a deep friend. So just shoot the message. That's exactly how I live in this house now. That's how I have this really amazing friendship that we're building a course together. Like all of that happened because I shot her a DM. So you never know what's possible.
Yeah, I love that, because like so often it's just like, oh, just shoot your shot, and we're always referring to like guys or whatever, but we never really speak about female friendships and how powerful they are and how necessary they are, and especially when they're aligned and like soul-based. Like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
I'm loving the whole vibe. And so with your coaching stuff, what's going on there at the moment? Do you have any spaces available?
Yes, I do have a few spaces available. I recently signed on 3 new clients, which was a total practice of manifestation. I was getting really clear on what I wanted, and then all of a sudden the 3 just came in. So, but I do have some spaces still available at the time of this recording, so I'm very excited. I think it's such a good time of year to hire a coach. We're in the holiday season, yes, but we're right also in the new year, and building those new habits, building the foundation that you want to see your goals come to life, having someone there on the other end to hold you accountable for them. There's no better time than right now to start looking for a coach, especially a life purpose coach, because like I said, we're all in a transition right now. We're all up leveling into the new, paradigm, the new chapter that we have awaiting for us. And there's no shame in getting support going through that process. I have a coach. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is someone to hold you accountable and be supportive in a space that's separate to like your friends and family. I think that's super important because we tend to get very biased sides of view and opinions from friends and family. Whereas if you have a coach, you have someone who is seeing you from the outside looking in. Whereas family and friends and looking for support in that ways, which is always fantastic, isn't always aligned and seeing a high perspective for you.
Absolutely, yeah. And just having somebody be there that you don't quite know personally, maybe you do know them personally, but maybe, yeah, like you said, they're just that outside voice that can hold that space for you with completely like no judgment. It's everything is welcome, and just having somebody create that container is really powerful. And, a lot of people actually don't have somebody already in their lives that they feel comfortable with, even voicing their dreams, voicing their goals, or even sharing what they're struggling with, what's coming up for them, what's uncomfortable for them. Like they don't have that go-to person where they feel safe that they are able to share. And so a coach is an amazing person to bring into your life in order to even work through that and to talk through that with somebody.
I think it's like super important to have someone like that, especially because I know personally when I was trying to find my path and purpose, I was struggling with like jealousy and fear, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Someone please help me. And so when you realize that, these are all normal feelings, and if I had a space where I could jump in and express that to someone, because obviously you don't really want to express to the people that are around you that, hey, I'm actually like really jealous of you, so rein it in. And so, yeah, it's really fantastic to have a space where you can speak to someone and be like, open and honest, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on, this is what I want to achieve. How do I work through this and how do I get there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think something that's also really crucial with the coaching aspect in terms of, the clients coming to you, they have that dream and that goal. But what's so crucial about the coach is they pace them. We're not diving into the first session saying, okay, we're going to get you from A to B, but we have these coaching programs set because there's a certain pace that we follow, and it's intuitively guided in order to make sure that the client is going at the exact speed that they need to go at in order to get to that final goal. So that's something also super valuable with working with a coach, is just knowing that you are being guided. Maybe from time to time, you might feel a little push forward, just the next step, but you're by no means being, pushed off a cliff and just hoping to land exactly where you need to go. It's all so intuitive, and that's what I love about coaching. Because it's a human to human contact. It's there's two human beings sharing experiences and creating magic together and just having deep conversations. And when that comes together, it's beautiful, it's powerful, and you can create anything you want to create in that container.
Yeah. And I want to make a point there, because I know a lot of people will be like, oh, but it takes too long, the programs are really long, or it's too expensive. And, I'm just going to call some people out here and say, you'll happily go out on the weekend and drop $300 to $600 on a night out. But then when it comes to actually looking after yourself, it's a different story. And so, yeah, I think it's reflecting on that too, because are you actually really taking care of yourself and wanting to achieve your goals if you're not actually willing to invest in yourself financially as well, and with time too.
Exactly. And it's like, if money is the concern here, it's like, okay, but what is the cost of not investing in yourself? You know, I mean, you can't even put a number on that. If you're unwilling to stop that, the partying or the distractions or the buying meaningless things or whatever, and not investing in yourself, then the cost of not doing that is just far greater.
Absolutely. If you value the cost of your future and what it's going to look like, if you are determined enough, you will jump in both feet. And I think there has to be a certain point of being sick of your own BS where you're just like, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. And that it comes first to that self-awareness phase. You know, we have many phases of that Dharma discovery. Of that first phase is just really becoming self-aware, because in order to make any changes, you have to be aware that change needs to happen. And so I think a lot of people aren't even in that stage yet. They're not even aware that things need to shift in order for them to actually be in a fulfilling life. But that needs to happen first in order to then really dive into that stage of self-improvement, which is just, it's limitless. You know, when you start to be concerned with your personal development, you soon realize that you can elevate every single area of your life, and there is no limit, there's no cap. We all have infinite potential. And so that's, you know, when people start to eat right, that's when they start to think about being healthy with their body, and creating mindfulness and hiring a coach and all of these things. You can do whatever you want in that personal development phase, which then, you know, leads us into those finer details of, okay, what are our passions? What are we good at? And what are we passionate about, in order to really define that life purpose? So it's all a journey. Yeah. We're all here to just keep learning. Like, life itself is just a school. It's just like Earth school, you know? So I always just remind people not to take it too seriously. So everything's temporary.
Absolutely. Everything is temporary. And on that beautiful, beautiful note, can you please let everyone know where they can find you?
Absolutely. So my personal Instagram is Graywa, which is half my first name, half my last name, GRAYWAA. And my coaching website is just coachwithgrayson.com. So you can find my podcast there. You can find my retreat information there. You know, we have Clarafino and Sweet Clarity. So I would say that those are some great areas to go to first.
Yeah, awesome. I want to thank you so much for coming on this call with me and recording with me. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much, Franeiss. It was such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.